6.
Okay. Okay, so before I really get formally started, I'm just going to let some people come into the room. And I think on your end, you won't be able to see the comments, but they will pop up on your screen, so you'll be able to read them for a moment. It'll be sort of flash up, but I will try my best
to read them, not unless I'm doing this. And, you know.
Oh, okay. I'll just try to read the comments to you then, because you won't really be able to see them anyway on your side.
Yes. Right.
Okay. We're just going to wait for a few minutes. So this really is
having a ridiculously large computer with a ridiculously large screen. Is that you're doing this all the time?
Oh, and you're dropping your glasses.
There you go. They're old like me.
Awesome. Okay, we have a few people joining us already. And the thing is, I can see that we have people joining us, but I don't know who you are. So please introduce yourselves, or just say hi, put a hi in the comments, or put the number 1 in the comments.
I can see, you know. I mean, I saw Victoria pop up there.
I saw Victoria, and I saw...
we have 8 apparently. Maria.
We have David Fairweather.
Yeah.
And Dion, right? And Maria. I see Maria. Okay. Hey, Victoria. Hi, Maria.
And Kirsty's just gone. Kirsty Marks. Hi, Kirsty.
Hi, Kirsty. Okay, so they're popping up so fast on my side of the screen, and I've got all kinds of... So first of all, let me just establish that this is not a formal interview. Let's just get that out of the way to begin with. This is just a live chat between colleagues, and you guys at home, you get to listen in and sort of eavesdrop on our conversations. But not only that, you actually get to interact with us as well. I'm very, very excited to have Jonathan Chase with me today. He's one of my favorite people. And in a moment, I'm going to start the, like I said, it's not a formal interview. But in a moment, we'll start.
Yeah, you can interview me.
I'm just going to get some business out of the way for a moment. How are you doing today, though?
You can get some practice in.
I'll get some practice in while we're waiting for a few more people to show up. You're very popular, so I know that we'll get a lot of people on.
Well, you know, when people say, "How are you today?" I always think, at my age, you know, I'm breathing.
You're breathing. I'm breathing today.
Yeah, that's fine. I'll settle for that.
Any day that you wake up in the morning is a good day, right? At this point.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, good Lord. Yes, the calendar's counting down now, not up anymore, you know. In the words of my favourite comedian, Billy Connolly, I am too old to die young.
That's right. Awesome. I love that. So, so here's the other thing, too, is that I'm coming from my home today. My kids are out of school. They're still on Christmas holiday break, which is forever. They don't go back until the 8th. I'm going to try to keep them downstairs and out of the way.
Locked in the cupboard.
I bribed my oldest to keep the little ones out of...
Well, let's keep mine locked in a cupboard.
They're locked in there. That's a solution. But having said that, because this is live, anything could happen at any time. And if one of my kids comes busting through the door and into the room, well, we're just going to keep going. That's just going to happen. Again, that's why I'm glad this is not anything formal, right? It's just look, we're just having coffee, or you're probably having tea. I'm having coffee.
Earl Grey.
Earl Grey. Love Earl Grey.
Yes, because I'm old and I can't take the milk anymore.
Oh, yeah.
Milk's only for young people.
And I'm going to just, while we're waiting for some more people to show up, I'm going to do some shameless self-promotions for myself, and then we'll do some shameless self-promotion for you in a little bit.
That will happen, I promise you.
And so for the people watching me in the UK who don't know who I am Stephanie Conkle. I am an Atlanta-based hypnotherapist. I am a deep trance expert. Okay, also, hang on, let me get this Yeah, so I'm supposed to tell you about the 2018 Virtual Hypnosis Conference. There is a conference put on by Richard Nongard. It's the first virtual I don't know if it's the first one ever. It's the first one that Richard Nongard, I think, has put on. Lovely chap. Love Richard. Hey, Richard. I'm going to be teaching hypnoanesthesia. And I'm going to put the link. If you want to join this is wonderful because this is just presented like a convention, but you get to watch it from the comfort of your own home. You don't have to, pay for any travel expenses. You don't have to fly anywhere. You just show up. So I am going to figure out how to put this in the comments. There's something weird going on with my comments down here, but I'm going to figure out how to do that. I'll put the link in there for my comments. And if you are interested in learning how to do hypnoanesthesia, it's very cheap. I think it's, I don't remember the price, but I think it's somewhere around $40, $50 in US currency. Maybe cheaper than that. So, hey guys, I see all the comments. Happy New Year to you all. All right. And then also the other shameless self-promotion that I'm doing for myself is that because I am a deep trance expert, I am teaching the profound somnambulism protocol. I'm sorry if I'm boring you guys to death. This is the last thing, and I'm going to get out.
It's okay. I'll get the sound part.
They're going to go on with Jon. So I'm teaching my profound somnambulism protocol at HT Live, at HypnoThoughts Live. So I'm doing that as a pre-conference. So be sure to sign up for that and you'll get my live training. You can also join my group, which is Profound Somnambulism and Beyond. And I take you through all of the wonders of deep trance, where you put the client, the conscious mind completely to sleep, and you're talking purely to the subconscious mind. You're having subconscious dialogue. If you're interested in that, that's what I do. I can teach you how to do that. All right, now that we've gotten that business out of the way, let's get to Jonathan. Welcome, Jonathan. Thank you so much for being my guest today. And I'm going to give you a big oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Thank you for coming and Happy New Year. How were your holidays and how is your new year going so far?
Lots of food.
Yeah, definitely lots of food. I know I've gained weight. That's
it, basically. No, I'm not. We do it, you can see I've got decorations up, and we put tinsel and glitter up and that. And we have lots and lots and lots of sprouts, and that's it basically. And then I'm always, I suppose, like most people, these celebratory days, I find them as much an inconvenience as anything else. It's sort of like, oh, it's New Year, huh?
Right.
That was, and you sort of think. I do love this time of the year though, because on the 6th of January, in a couple of days' time, it's Jane's birthday, and we were both born in the same year. But it means that for 8 weeks, she is a year older than me. Ah, okay. So I can go around, giving her walking sticks and that sort of thing, and yeah. So
awesome. So I first,
but it's interesting, the psychology of the New Year thing.
Yeah, we definitely
discuss that at some point, because, and of course, big day tomorrow.
What's
4th
tomorrow?
of January. It's Hypnotism Day.
Of course, World Hypnotism Day. World Hypnotism Day.
Have you ever
That's
heard
right, it is.
So stupid in your apart from
every day is World Hypnotism
Father's Day, Dog's Day, watching the television day. It's getting to the point where we've got a celebratory day for.
Oh, I think it's nice.
I found a piece of mucus. Look at that. It's Mucus Day.
I think it's nice that we have this. It's just January is just so close up, it bumps up against the holidays and everything. I kind of wish whoever made it January 4th would have made it more like February 4th or March 4th.
yeah, but Steph, you've been in subconscious minds the same as I have, and it's a necessary thing for the subconscious mind. It gives one a sense of belonging, a sense of feeling. I mean, that's why these communities are popping up all over the place. You know, the hypnosis community. You know, and that. I mean, yeah, I smile because I'm old enough to remember when the community meant the people who live next door and along your street, and that was the community, you know. But now it's a word that is maybe it's a little bit devalued because people are all over the place, you know. And if I said to you, lend me a £5, you are highly unlikely to do that, you know, unless you say, what's in it for me? I mean, if you are, my PayPal is. But,
let me write this down. Okay.
No, it's PayPal.me John
needs money.
JC team. JC team, folks. JC team. Open. Yes. Send me money.
I've been accused. You'll get a kick out of this. I've been accused of being a Jonathan Chase worshiper. I've been accused of that. and
it's very understandable.
It's so understandable, and the reason why, and I'm not even kidding. This is not a joke. Somebody accused me of that.
I've got that. I've got a few more, but
let me just back up and say the very first time I ever knew who you were or ever saw you was on the HypnoThoughts forum. And I remember at that time you were kind of ruffling people's feathers. What you were saying was a bit controversial. And so I remember the first time meeting you in person was at HypnoThoughts live convention in Las Vegas. I think it was the first year. It was the year that you did the show.
The inaugural one, yes. I think I'm the only Brit that they actually invited to come across.
Oh, okay. Right, and you
Richard
came with all of the hypno arts people and all of that kind of stuff, and you gave. I thought you gave a
they
really
invited me back, by the way, but
they will. Richard, are you hearing that? Invite John back. But no, I thought you actually did a brilliant show. I don't know how many people know that you are in a wheelchair. You are wheelchair bound, and you actually did the entire stage hypnosis show. We're going to show people. We're going to prove to people that you're in a wheelchair. You actually did a whole stage hypnosis show on the stage in a wheelchair, and you were funny and you were amazing, and I thought you just did a wonderful job. And so kudos to you.
I'll drop a link to the video on demand version of it.
Oh yeah, please do. Everybody should watch. And what I sort of loved about that show too is that you had people on stage, and there was somebody who was just not going under, and usually they just send those people back. And you were just like, I'm not giving up on you. You're staying right where you are. I will get you under.
No. There's a good reason for that. Ask me about it later.
Yeah, definitely. But I like that. I like that you're very bold. I like that you speak your mind. I like that you are forward. I know that they can come across sometimes as arrogant, but I know that it's just really confidence. I know that it's and that it's not arrogance. Well, some of it may be just a little.
No. To be a really good, competent presentation hypnotist, one has to have a little arrogance.
A little, right? Yeah.
But you use it in the right way, in the right place.
Absolutely.
At the right time. But a lot of people get confidence mixed up with arrogance. The easy way to tell whether it's confidence or arrogance, if the first thing that comes out of people's mouth is everybody else is terrible and I'm great, that's arrogance.
Absolutely.
If what comes out of your mouth is I'm great, that's confidence.
Right. And I agree with you on that. And I think that you do have to have confidence to be a hypnotist. And I don't think you have to, let me back up and say, I don't even think you have to have confidence. I think you have to know how to feign confidence really well. If you're not a confident person, you feign it really well until you really know what you're doing. And then the confidence will come. I know, because that's what happened to me. I am naturally an introvert. All right. And I had selective mutism as a child, which meant that I physically could not talk to people in authority. I could talk to my parents, I could talk to my siblings, but I couldn't talk to teachers. I couldn't even talk to the lady behind the fast food restaurant counter to ask for more ketchup packets. Like, I was too shy, too scared, but I was able to overcome that. And so I want people to know that you really can do anything. This is really true. You really can program yourself to do anything that you want. And the more you do this, the more you hypnotize people. For the new hypnotist out there, the more confidence you will get. So just keep at it. And I also come from the position of, I'm a mother of 3 children. I have a special needs child. He is autistic. He also has severe ADHD, Tourette's, OCD, and I have to schedule everything that I do around him. But, I could have used that as a stumbling block. I could have said, well, I have to lose who I am just to take care of him. But I refused to do that. I said, you know what, I'm going to figure out a way to make this work for both of us, so I can still be a good, loving mom and caregiver to him, but I can also have the life and the career that I want. So I just want to put that in. So hopefully that's encouraging to other mothers out there who are wanting to either start their own business, whether it's hypnosis or whatever your dream job is. Don't lose yourself in this. Go out and do it. Okay. I'm sorry I went off on a tangent there, because I want to go into this next real quick. This is...
Now, that bloke, I've seen him before.
Where have you seen this handsome chap before? So I like this picture on here. What year was that taken?
Probably before you were out of diapers. I don't know. That book was published, I believe, in 2005.
2007. I see that now.
Yeah, but it was. That's the second edition.
The first one was 1988, I think.
That was Deeper and Deeper.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
That was. Do you want me to get a copy of that? I've got a copy now.
Well, what I wanted to show.
That was Deeper and Deeper: The Secrets of Stage Hypnosis.
Okay.
And that book was actually a PDF book. Well, it was a PDF document in those days. They didn't call it. We didn't write 17 pages and put it on Kindle and call it a book. And I will be talking about books in a while, because that's the direction that hypnosis has gone in. But the first document that we did, that was 1999. It went on sale on a magic dealer online, who was the only seller, and it's been on sale ever since. So and it went straight to the stage hypnosis category #1 on Amazon as soon as we turned it into a physical book, simply because there was only 3 of them anyway. So now there's dozens. Now everybody's got one.
So what I loved about this, Jon, is, I guess we were having a Facebook discussion, and you brought up something that challenged my belief in what I'd always thought was just a truism about hypnosis. And I asked you to explain. I can't remember what it was. I've got mommy brain right now. I can't remember exactly what it was that you had challenged me. And I said, please explain that, because I really just wanted to understand what you meant by that. And you said, well, get my book, and I explain it in detail in there. And I don't think you thought I was going to actually do that, but
that wasn't a promotion, I promise you.
No. And this is like really true. I'm not like trying to whatever, like Jon's not paying giving me any money to promote him. This is just really coming from my heart. So I got this book and I started reading it. And at first it sort of reads as just how to do hypnosis. And it's like, okay, well, I know how to do hypnosis, right? So, but it really takes you step by step. But the concepts in here were so different than what anybody has ever been taught, that it really got me to open my eyes. And he actually has some really sound ideas behind this. Sound. I want to say proof. I want to say, what's the word I'm looking for? It basically opened. Brilliance. Seriously, it opened my eyes and it gave me a new perspective. And now, once I started getting into my profound somnambulism work, that already opened up my mind, expanded my mind. Once I started working in very deep hypnosis, I was basically forging on through to levels that people wouldn't touch, because I think that most people feel more comfortable working in the light to mid-range states. And I'm going to use depth of trance. I know people have a issue with that, but that's my metaphor that I like to use. So I like to work in the deepest stages of hypnosis, which I really even feel that the stage hypnotist work in the deepest levels of hypnosis as well. You would definitely work in somnambulism. And I work in profound somnambulism, and I think it's very similar.
Invented it.
So, say that again.
Stage hypnosis invented somnambulism. Yeah,
right.
You know.
Stage.
I mean, people say to me, "Oh, James Braid." James Braid on, I think it was the 15th of October in 1841. We know when hypnosis was born, that you're using now. Went to see La Fontaine in a theatre in Manchester, who was a failed actor, but he was doing public demonstrations of mesmerism and using mesmeric trance. And of course, Mesmer used deep state somnambulism all the time. He just didn't know that's what he was doing.
Right.
You know, when people swooned, they were going into deep state somnambulism. And Braid saw La Fontaine on stage, and he went to debunk mesmerism. That's why he went there. You know, he was a surgeon, and he saw La Fontaine, and he went back 4 nights running, and then he said to La Fontaine, "Teach me." And then Braid went on to write about monoidealism and stuff like that. You know, and that became a sort of the proper hypnosis that people like George Estabrooks used prior to it becoming mixed up with psychotherapy, thanks to Milton Erickson and 1 or 2 other people like that. They didn't actually get it, you know, and sort of got it. And then we've gone full circle back where the modern hypnotists, a lot of them, are either using direct suggestion like I do all the time without any trance whatsoever at all, because we've figured that hypnosis has got nothing whatsoever at all to do with the conscious mind, so we ignore what that's doing. And you know, you've seen me, you saw me in Las Vegas with no induction, nothing, just walking up to people and saying your hands stood on the table, and it was. And
you're doing hypnosis without trance, right? Or you were?
No, you're doing hypnosis. The trance is incidental. You're a trance worker. You're a trance worker who uses hypnosis to get there.
Right. And so that's what was so interesting to me. See, I don't know if you can see, but I've got all of these pages marked up because as I was sort of discovering this on my own, because I didn't have anyone to sort of teach me how to do this deep hypnosis, I was discovering it myself, but I didn't really understand all the sort of the principles behind some of the stuff that was happening. And I just started reading this book and was like, oh, that makes sense. Of course, that makes sense. And hey, that makes sense. And
I love it when somebody shows me one of my books and it looks like
it's all marked up.
I love it.
It's all marked up. Now, I know that some of the stuff is going to be controversial to some people because it totally goes against what a lot of us were. Look at this. Look at this. It was like
lots of people say that. Lots of people say that.
Because Because you do
that
say
it's controversial,
like,
but if you actually watch the really, really good hypnotists, it's what they do.
Definitely.
You know? It's just a different understanding of how that works.
Right. Definitely. See, because almost everything.
And I'll tell you what's behind my books. I'll tell you what's behind my books all the time, Steph. I'm a lazy bastard. If I can find simple, easy, fast way of doing something, I will do it the simple, easy, fast way because I don't like having to work hard.
Me too. I call myself the lazy-ish hypnotist.
and I also realise that I'm quite happy with this, and this is the most controversial thing that really gets up a lot of people's nose, is that I know that anybody can be a hypnotist. Some people can be fabulous hypnotists. Some people will be okay hypnotists. Some people will be mediocre hypnotists, and some people will be crap hypnotists. Why? Because they're people. And it's the same for being hypnotized. Some people are fantastically, easily, high hypnotizable people, and other people are not. To demonstrate that, take 1,000 men, put them into a battlefield situation, and about 20% will come out with PTSD, but not all of them, even though they've gone through the same situation. Right. And we go, oh yeah, oh well, that's just human psychology. And then all of a sudden, and it really sickens me this when I hear the 100%ers, you know, that everybody's in hypnosis and they just stay there, and we can manipulate the hypnosis with everybody. No, you can't, because not everybody is good at it. You know. Now you've got a child with challenges that you know that there are certain things, there are limitations. Yeah, and some people have those limitations and some people don't. You know, I mean, as you mentioned, you know, I'm in a wheelchair. I'm heartily sick and tired of people jumping on me. You know, when I go to conventions and that, saying, "Why don't you cure yourself?" Well, number one, I'm not sick.
Wow.
Number two, I have a genetic condition, which means that my nervous system doesn't work properly. And number three,
I can't believe
I'm in a wheelchair, you know. I mean, God, you know, I'm not ugly.
I can't believe people actually say that.
Like, you know, and I mean, and it's just a clearer way, a cleaner way of looking at things, I think, in the hypnosis world. You know, I mean, you know that I've stopped training hypnosis in the way that I used to. I've stopped doing certification hypnosis, and that sort of thing, because it's just, that market is so overwhelmed now with people who are teaching what they were taught with no field experience and stuff like that. I mean, I know we've got one guy. Yeah, we've got one guy in this country. I won't mention any names, but I taught him at the time that I was teaching you, and now he's teaching dozens and dozens and dozens of people. You know, and he's only reiterating what he was taught, you know, and that's what people do. And to a degree, that's what I did, apart from the fact that there wasn't as many schools of it when I started, because I was very old, you know, and you sort of had to make it up as you went along, because there was nobody you could go to and say, what do I do with it?
You had to figure it out.
Yeah, or look at a book. But it's strange that what we know and understand of as the hypnotic process has become so formalized now that it's what me and a friend of mine, Barry Thane, many years ago on alt news groups, that was before this Facebook, and you know, I mean, this is incredible. You're in Atlanta, Georgia, for God's sake, you know. And I'm in deepest, darkest Devon. I mean, it's turning dark here now, because, you know, people say, oh, we're in the south of England, you know. Yes, where we are, by the way, is actually further north than Vancouver.
Wow, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, people, people don't get this, but you know, the only reason that we've got mild temperature is because of the Gulf Stream. If the Gulf Stream turned off, we'd be Canada.
Oh, okay. I've been to London.
We'd be northern Canada.
I've been to London a few times, and one time I went with a friend, and it was only 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and it had already turned dark. It was December, and it felt like it was 9 or 10 p.m. at night, and then we looked at at our clocks, and we just started bursting out laughing because it was already dark. It was like 4:30 p.m., and it's pitch black, dark. Can't see, you know, your hand in front of your face, kind of dark. And we're like, what kind of place is this? But no, I love it. I love England. I love the UK. I love all my friends.
The thing is, this is interesting because the variations in nature work in here as well. And there are variations. You know, there are variations to the point where you can say that person has challenges because they can't function without the help of other people. Yeah. And then you get to the point where you've got that person who can function way better than everybody else at perhaps one thing, you know. Maybe they're a genius on the piano. I was
going to say everybody's a genius
with
at
music,
something, right?
or maybe they're a genius with maths or something like that.
Yeah.
You know. Well, no, there is. Do you know where the huge? You know, I love that. Everybody's got something special. Not particularly. No, I'll tell you what. There's a huge, great big chunk of humanity, about 80%, that just sit in the middle. You know. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Well, maybe they have potentiality, but maybe they don't do anything with it.
Yeah, but there's nothing wrong with that. There is absolutely nothing wrong with being average. There's
if
nothing
that's
wrong
how, yeah, sure. If that's how you want to conduct your life.
Average capabilities at school, average this, average that. Because if it wasn't average, we wouldn't know when people were special, and we wouldn't be able to help the people who aren't there. Yeah,
that's true.
And the vast majority are average.
So my eldest daughter, she's very smart. She's highly intelligent. She's in all of the advanced classes, which puts her in special classes. So I'm having to do special things for her special classes. And then on the complete other end of the spectrum, I've got my son who is autistic, and he's special needs, and he has all his special classes and all of his special clubs and all of that I've got to take him to. The little list, it's like, oh, please God, just let her be normal. And so she's just in kindergarten right now, so that's yet to be seen, but but it's just like, I would like a little bit of a break from having to take the kids around to all of their special things that they have to go to. That's because if it's special, it means you've got to do extra stuff. But if they're just average, then they can just kind of like, you know, play video games. And
well, mine are nearly as old as you, so I don't know. No, they're not.
Well, John, I want to read some of the comments here because I don't want to lose people, and I can't even tell at this point who is still with us and who is not. So let me just go through the comments real quick. And you guys, you know, Jonathan loves taking questions, so ask him anything you want, and I'm sure he'll answer it for you.
But you'll get an opinion back.
You will definitely get an opinion, and he is not shy on giving his opinions. And John and I just have great fun with each other all the time too. So sometimes you may see us and it may feel like we're arguing back and forth, but we really love each other. So, because when I met him at Hypnothoughts Live, that's when I realized, oh, he's just a big teddy bear. So, but he told me not to tell anybody his secret. So I'm sorry, I just let that out. Oh, it looks like Joni's with us, Sylvia. Hey, Sylvia and Dion. Okay. Anybody have any? So Sylvia says she wants Jonathan to do a demonstration on Stephanie. I don't know
what on Stephanie.
Yeah, what? What do you mean by that? Type in the comments. What kind of a demonstration? I don't know if I'm a great candidate. We could try.
Well, I'm not going to do it, but she can at least, you know, I'm going to watch I'm going to watch people's, you know, ideas of what the capabilities of what we can do are.
Okay, Deborah says, how did you meet? So we met at, again, if you're just coming in, the first time we met, the first time we ever really, I think, exchanged any kind of ideas with each other was
we were in Las Vegas, and I ran over a foot with my wheelchair.
That's the first time we met in person. We met in Las Vegas at the Hypnothoughts live convention. Before that, I had known Jonathan. I had known his reputation. I think we may have even exchanged ideas on the Hypnothoughts platform, on Scott Sandlin's Hypnothoughts platform. I'm not over there as much as I used to be. I used to live on that because when I first started off as a hypnotist in Atlanta, there weren't many of us here in my area. And then the people that I tried to reach out to in my area, they weren't very friendly. And so I just thought, oh, I don't know if if hypnotists are just not friendly people or what. So it was very lonely in those early years. And I just kind of thought I was doing this on my own. And I knew that people were looking at me like I had two heads or something if I told them that I was a hypnotist. It was something that everybody's fascinated in, but nobody wants to admit that they are one. So
I still have two heads. I'll keep an extra one on my shelf.
Yeah. So anyways, once I don't even know how I found that forum. Somehow I made my way to that forum, or it found me. And that's when I started really making friends with other hypnotists and other hypnotherapists, and just having these really deep intellectual discussions. And of course, there was a lot of ego wars going on that as well. Not as bad as it is now. I think in those early days, I think it was not, there was some of that, but it wasn't as prevalent. And then I started going around to these different conventions and meeting the people in person, such as Jonathan, and finding out that, oh, well, hypnotists are really like the nicest, most genuine people you will ever meet. They're not, even if they have an ego, it's not the ego, it's confidence, it's not arrogance, it's confidence. And you do have to have confidence to be a good hypnotist. Even like I said before, even if you feign confidence, I had to feign confidence. Remember, I had selective mutism. I could barely talk to people. Now you can't get me to shut up. But you do have to have, you do have to have confidence, and you do have to at least project that confidence to your client. Whether or not you feel it inside, find a way to get there. Find a way just to do it and get there.
And you have to project the confidence?
You have to project the confidence. Like when I first started, I just got into the role of hypnotist. I'm like, well, what if I was playing the role, if I was like an actress and I'm playing the role of a hypnotist, what would a hypnotist act like? What would they say? How would they walk? How would they dress? And so I started just at first, when I first started off, I just got myself into the role of a hypnotist, and I just started playing hypnotist until it got so ingrained in me, and then that I became the hypnotist. And then my natural confidence came through, because it's like, okay, finally, I know what to expect. I know what to do now. Now I really am confident. But it did take me a while to get there.
So how did you look, how did you find hypnosis? You know, because I mean, let's face it, there isn't a school in the world that says there's no career. We had career teachers, you know. When I went to my career teacher, they offered me a job as a labourer in a factory or a welder, and down the coal mines. And actually, the more money was the job as the labourer in the factory. So I went and worked in a factory, you know. But how did you discover hypnosis? You know, it's almost something that fascinates me. The vast majority of people come into the business through having experienced it and think, oh, that's great, I want to do that, which amazes me, because I've met people who have had open heart surgery and that none of them have come out and said, oh, great, I'm going to be a surgeon. You know.
Well, I'll give you just sort of my brief answer. If you want to hear my long answer, I have my whole story it's told out on Jason Linnett's podcast. It's podcast 123, and you can hear my whole background from when I was a child up until now.
I'm not going to be interested. I've got a subconscious mind here that's getting bored.
Okay. So, well, I'm going to say that hypnosis found me. My degree, I do have a college degree. I'm college educated, but my degree is in film and video. And so basically making movies. And I did work on the set of Dawson's Creek for a little while. I didn't end up going out to Hollywood because of money issues, but I was doing okay when I was working on Dawson's Creek. I wasn't making a lot of money, but I was doing okay. And around that time is when 9/11 happened. They put a hiring freeze, and everybody basically lost their jobs unless you were just like had been in the industry for ages. You basically lost your job, and I needed to move back to Atlanta. Just to get a job, just to get money to survive. Because at this point, I was a newlywed. I didn't have children, but we just really didn't have any. We were pretty poor. I was taking loans from my mom to just pay rent for the apartment that I was in, or the flat, as you would call it. So I was like, no, I have to get out of this situation. I really don't like relying on other people for money. I really want to get out of this situation. So I came back to Atlanta because that's where my family was from, but also it's one of the largest cities in the Southeast. And then they actually had jobs. So I got it. My sister knew someone who hooked me up with a job. It was a corporate job. And all of a sudden had all this money. I got promoted within the first year. I got a 10% raise after the first year, which is not heard of. And I was just sort of working my way up that corporate ladder. And I just kind of felt like there was something missing. And
so how did hypnosis come into that?
So hypnosis came in. Yeah. So after my first child was born, I developed this terrible fear of flying. I'd never been afraid to fly before. I'd been all over Europe. I'd been all over.
So forgive me for this, but I'm going to jump ahead a little. I'm going to guess that you went to a hypnotherapist. They cured your fear of flying.
Not really quite at that time. I actually was just, but what came into my mind was, I don't know how else I'm going to get over this. I knew it was mental. And I thought if I could be hypnotized, then I could fly. And my husband's movie, I met him in film school, and his movie got into the Cannes Film Festival. And I was like, oh gosh, I have to fly to the south of France. And I'm definitely not missing this opportunity to walk the red carpet, not only as his wife, but also as the producer of the movie. I'm not going to tell you the name of the movie because it's horrible. You don't want to watch it. I'll tell you. I'll tell it to you. But it's about a zombie chicken, a satanic zombie chicken. It's called Zombique, and it's actually been released in the UK.
And
you can find it.
Hypnosis come into the
yeah. So I had to get on the plane and fly, and so I was just looking for hypnosis downloads to listen to. I didn't see a hypnotist in person. I had heard about a stage hypnotist that had come to my college and had done a hypnosis show. I was actually out of town when he came to college, but my boyfriend was there, and he just went step by step and explained everything that the hypnotist did, what all of our friends did. My friends were very intelligent people, and they're not the kind that would just. They weren't very naive. I mean, they were very. So I thought, okay, well, if they can get my friends to do what my boyfriend was saying, then there must be something powerful with hypnosis. There must be something powerful with the mind. I didn't know what all of it was, but that's what made me first sort of believe in the power of hypnosis and also the power of your mind. And I didn't even know what the subconscious was back then. I just knew hypnosis, right? I just knew hypnosis. I mean, I knew the subconscious from a Freudian point of view. I didn't know it as intimately as I know it now. So, and that's how I listened to that tape, and the tape didn't cure me, but it did help me feel better while I was flying. And then I had to have several sessions to actually get completely over my fear. Now I know how to do it very quickly. And actually, and I kind of credit Scott Sandlin for sort of helping me. He showed me how to do the collapsing anchors technique. And that one technique is so simple, and it was so powerful. And it, like, after I used that on myself and just sort of did self-hypnosis using the collapsing anchors, I was able to fly comfortably after that. So I knew that, but by that time, though, I had already become a hypnotist. The truth behind this, though, I'm going to get a little bit esoteric on you here, but during this time where I was climbing the corporate ladder, I really felt something was missing. I knew that I had a feeling in my soul that I knew I was supposed to be helping people. I didn't know how. And I remember praying to whoever, but I thought that there was something out there. Form of
self-hypnosis there is.
Yeah, I thought there was something out there greater than myself. And I remember praying and saying these words that I know I'm not supposed to, there's something out there that I'm supposed to be doing. That's my vocation. Not a corporate career, but that's my vocation that I'm here on earth to do. And I remember being very anxious, not eager, anxious, anxious to want to do this. And so I said, please. And I remember saying, I don't care how strange it is or how weird it is. I will accept it, put it into my lap, and I will accept it. And then it was immediately after that, all of these things started to converge together. The universe brought everything together. Whatever your belief system is, in my belief system, the universe brought everything together.
You applied the secret and the law of attraction, and bang.
I did, and voila, and I never thought that I would become a hypnotherapist. And even when I just wanted to learn hypnosis because I was fascinated by it. I read everything I could get my hands on, and then of course you got to start trying it on people, right? And so I started trying. So then I just started having ladies from the neighborhood who, ladies who were part of, at the time, my daughter.
Yeah, I always tried to get ladies from the neighborhood.
From the neighborhood, the toddler moms, the Girl Scout moms. Right? I just started hypnotizing them in my own home. And of course, at that time, it was just smoking cessation and weight loss and all that kind of basic stuff that you do. And then I just kept doing it. There was no reason to stop. I was, whatever. People were enjoying the service. I was enjoying doing it. And then it got to the point where now men wanted me to hypnotize them. And so I decided, well, I need to get a space outside the house. And I got a little office. And my first little office was just a little shared space with a chiropractor who just needed some money to rent out the little space next to him. And then I started taking men and women and everybody, and then it just sort of exploded after that. But I never thought, I want to be a hypnotist when I grow up, right? I never thought that. I thought I wanted to be an astronomer or an actress or a filmmaker. I never thought that, or an author or writer, which I'm doing that on the side too. But I never thought I want to be a hypnotist. It was just something that sort of came to me, and it is a service. And I'm a hypnotherapist. I have done some stage shows, but I'm primarily a hypnotherapist, a clinical hypnotherapist, and that's where my passion lies, and I enjoy it. And I get as much out of it, I think, as my clients do too. So it also kind of helped me get out of this depression after my first child was born. I went into this postpartum depression. I quit my corporate job, and I was trying to figure out what happened to me, what's going on, why do I feel so depressed? Do you see
hypnosis going elsewhere, going anywhere else?
Say that again?
Do you see your hypnosis going anywhere else?
my hypnosis going anywhere else, as in...
Yeah, other than just seeing daily clients. And I know it fits in with your lifestyle because you can control your diary. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, and I can make
I would say that 80% of professional hypnotherapists are, forgive me for saying this, but it's true, partner supported part-timers. That doesn't mean unprofessional, or it doesn't mean, you know, it's just that a lot of them are in that position.
And I will say that I was definitely in that position when I first started. And if it wasn't for the support of my husband, I don't know if I would have become as successful as quickly. If I had to keep working corporate and do hypnosis on the weekends or something, I think that would have been really hard. I don't think I would have been as inept. I don't think I would have pursued it the way I did. I'm at the point now where I'm happy to say that I don't need his support.
There's such a big difference. There's such a big difference in the ways that we came into it, because I was in show business. And I was working at the Hawaiian Cabaret Bar. I don't know why Hawaiian Cabaret Bar, but the Hawaiian Cabaret Bar in Portelet Bay in Jersey in the Channel Islands, which is just like 21 miles off the coast of France. So why they call it Hawaiian, I don't know. Not even in the same ocean, you know. But I met a Red Indian knife thrower who was learning hypnosis himself and learning to hypnotize, and he said, "Let me have a go at your legs." And he had to hypnotize everything because the legs wouldn't go on their own. And then he introduced me to the guy who taught him when the band he was playing in, which were very famous at the time, got their own TV show and everything, when they came over to the island. And I wanted to learn to be a hypnotist when I saw the roadie's girlfriend lock herself in an elevator on the 7th floor of the Hotel de France and refused to come out because of the lion that was chasing her. And I thought, I want to be able to do that to people. So, you know, and having been in and around show business for a few years, I wanted my own act. You know, I was a backstage guy. I was sound and lighting and that sort of thing, stage management. And I wanted my own act. And I can't sing, can't dance, can't tell jokes. That left magic and hypnosis. And I found that there were like 6 hypnotists in the country at the time earning hundreds of pounds. I mean, literally hundreds of pounds, not the 50, 60 pounds that a magician was earning then, but a hypnotist by comparison was earning 600, 700. Unfortunately, that's gone full circle now, because people like me started teaching everybody who wanted to learn. And it's got to the point like magic now where 80% of stage hypnotists do the odd show, might do half a dozen shows a year, and they're not full-time pros, so they price low. And that brings down the price of the whole thing, you know, and it's blah, blah, blah. So what I've seen, I don't know if you've noticed this over the last, I mean, we've only known each other really for 4 or 5 years, but if I can look back 25 years into the hypnosis world when I did my it wasn't hypnotherapy, it was clinical hypnosis training, yeah. And I can look back now and I can see that the profession is actually less professional now than it was, because in the old days, you spent so much money learning, you had to turn that into a profession. Right. Otherwise, you were going to go broke, you know. So you had to be professional. You had to turn it into your full day. You do. Nowadays, it's quite cheap.
You have to invest in yourself, though. I can't emphasize this enough, because it wasn't until I started really investing in myself that I really started getting all of the wisdom and all of the knowledge that I needed. It really just took my hypnosis from here to here, right? It took which took the growth of my business from like here to here, right? So now I'm fully self-supporting. And I'm thriving, but I had to invest in myself, because if I were just to stay cheap and okay, I can just do this out of books or whatever and not learn from the masters or the experts and blah blah blah, I would have just stayed on this little tiny level. So honestly, the more money that I've invested in myself, exponentially the more growth I've made.
Oh yeah, absolutely no doubt. You know, people have said to me, what's the quickest way of growing my business? Do more business, you know. I mean,
right, and that's why I didn't hesitate to buy your book when you said, "Yeah, look, my book." Okay, well, whatever it was, $20 or whatever. I was like, okay, it's an investment in myself. There's always something to learn, and there's a couple of things in here that I might not agree with, but a lot of it I do, and it just got me to really have a different perspective on the way that I view hypnosis.
There's nothing in there that I can't demonstrate. Apart from, obviously, the opinions that have been built up over 30 years. And the one thing I will say that you won't hear off a lot of hypnosis gurus, and that is, I could, of course, be wrong. Yeah, because it's an opinion, and I'm looking at it and say, well, it works that way, you know, and if you do it that way, it tends to work that way for everybody.
Right.
You know,
and it's sort of a model, right? A model that you had to come up with for yourself so that you could understand what you were doing. But I understood your model. And
the epiphany for me happened in the year 2001, where the lovely Jane Brigazzi, we were driving past Stonehenge coming back from London. We'd been to a health and vitality show in London, and we were driving back, and I was talking about wanting to get back on the computer because I'd been thinking about what somebody had said on an alt news group or a Yahoo group or an AOL group. In those days, you know, we texted everything. There was none of this. You know,
right?
And we had to text everything, and somebody had said something, and it was washing about in my head, you know, how to explain to them so that this numpty could understand what I was talking about, and I was talking to Jane about it, and I think she was quite bored, you know. But we come past Stonehenge, and I'm going to say it was the ancient, the 7,000 years of psychological energy that had been spent around the place, you know, that made Jane come out with a line that changed my whole life and my whole future at that point. She said, "Why don't you teach?" And I thought, you've stalled on me, by the way. Have we?
Oh,
yeah. Oh no, you haven't stalled. You just went into trance. I
did go into a little.
God, I'm good. But,
your voice is so mesmerizing, John.
But no, Jen said, "Why don't you teach?" And I thought, yeah, okay, I'll teach. And it was just stage hypnosis at the time, because, you know, after every show, you'd get 5 or 6 people come up. I want to be able to do that.
Yeah.
How did you learn it? Well, spend about $100,000 on going all over the world and watching as many stage hypnotists as you possibly can. Steal everything and keep doing it till it becomes yours, until you develop your own style, you know, and spend a lot of money and a lot of time and a lot of years doing that.
Yeah.
And then actually go up to comedians and say, "Write me a skit." Yeah. And they go, "Okay, 200 quid." And you go, "Okay, yeah." You know?
No, that's a good idea.
I've offered that online, you know, hypnosis. I love it, you know. I stopped going to things like hypnothoughts and that, because I love it when somebody who's done, like, you know, a $200 course has said, "Oh, I've got this occasion coming up, and I've got this coming up, and I've got to talk to these people about this, and has anybody got any funny routines? Come up with some funny routines." And you see 1 or 2 that are a bit tepid and uncontrollable in a stage situation. And then you say, "Yeah, sure, I'll write you a routine," you know. 5-10 minute routine to put into your show, $600. And they go, what? Yeah, but if it's funny and makes the people who hire you again, I've just sent you $1,200. You've made twice your money back, you numpty. And I happen to be a very good comedy writer, and I happen to have been doing this for a long time, and I happen to have a mind that can give you a routine for almost any situation, you know, blah, blah, blah.
Absolutely. So we saw people who want you to do a demonstration. I don't know.
I'm not going to, but they can want.
Okay. You can if you want. I don't know what you would do. All right, let me hide that.
You know, people seem to think this, that, you know, they see a good stage hypnotist, get some people on stage. Right. As soon as you say, come and join me on stage, you're going to be joined mostly by somnambulists. Yeah? Mm. Now, I stopped doing that. When I put the link, I'll put the link down below this video, and you can go along and you can watch the first 20 minutes of the inaugural show, the first show that was done at Hypnothoughts live in Las Vegas. And it was done by this English bloke. And you can watch the first 20 minutes. And I changed that completely. I stopped just asking for volunteers because I wanted to demonstrate to the audience the difference between different states of hypnosis and different capabilities of hypnosis. So, you know, you saw the show. What I do now is I get somebody from the front row to pick me 6 people.
Oh, cool.
Just 6, not 15 or 300. So, you know, look, you get 30 people on stage, you hypnotize all of them, you only need 2 good ones, one at one end and one at the other, to make it look like everybody on there is good. And that's not the case. That's not the case. If you watch it, you'll see that's not the case. And it's the same when I see hypnotherapists say, oh, I've got a 90% success rate. That's only because you're set up as a hypnotherapist. And the people who come to hypnotherapists are people who are hypnotizable, because the people who aren't hypnotizable aren't interested at all. They're just not interested. They just don't want to know. You know, if you go to a networking thing, you say, oh, I'm a hypnotherapist.
We get some low responders.
3 people walk away. That's not because they're just not interested. Yeah. Yeah. And they're not interested because they instinctively know that probably won't work for them. Yeah.
If they show up to your office, you're already halfway there.
I get 6 people on stage, and I keep whatever I get, and I work with whatever I get, and I still do a funny show. I still do a good demonstration. I still do whatever it is in the context of whatever it is. I have moved away from hypnosis certification training and that sort of thing, but I've got something exciting I'll share with you now, because we are next week we are launching a thing called the hypnotists.com. That's the hypnotist with an S.
And what is that?
.com. It's a club. It's it's monthly tutorials, drip fed. You'll be able to pay monthly, buy it yearly, or you're going to get 50% off all of our tutorials. That's all the years of video tutorials that's up there. There's hours and hours and hours. And it's going to be a monthly club, because once a month is enough for me now, you know, and also because HypnoArts has become a publishing house, and we now have 13. Okay. We now have 13 books, not just mine, but we are now publishing other people's books, experts in their fields. Great. So, you know, if you go to hypnoarts.com, hypnoarts.com, you'll see our full catalogue of authors, and we've got people, and we are authors in the self-help, personal development, motivation and inspiration, influence and business fields, you know, and that's come from, as I've gone away from doing therapy more into coaching. I've never really been a therapist, you know. I used to do an army base, and I'd get 12, 15 lads up on stage, you know, and their girlfriends, we'd hypnotise them, we'd have a good night. And then they'd start coming up to you after the show and they'd say, can you stop me smoking, mate? Can you stop me smoking? I need to lose a bit of weight, can you do it? And I thought, hang on a minute, I've just been asked, can you stop me smoking by 12 people? So I say, yeah, 50 quid, which in those days was like a week's wages for most people. Mm-hmm. And they knew that they were spending that a month on cigarettes. So they'd say, yeah, okay. So I would hypnotise 12 squaddies all at once, en group, en masse, after the show, and probably earn more off that than I earned for doing the bleeding show. Mm. Yeah. So I learned to do mass hypnosis as well. And there's a tutorial online on how to work with groups, you know, because it's a different psychology, it's a different approach.
Definitely.
Yeah, you can't really do deep state, so you've got to do something else, you know. Mm-hmm. But and all that's coming online, and we're doing it once a month, so that I can really focus on it, so that, you know, I can say, right, okay, we'll do a 2-hour live every month answering your questions of what's come off the tutorial that you've watched. And I only want to give people one tutorial a month because I want people to take it, use it, try it, do it my way, not their way, or 57 other ways coming in and then come back to me and say, that didn't work. Of course it bloody didn't work. You know, it's like riding a bike. Backwards.
Right. That's what happens when people try out my protocol and then they add too much of their own stuff into it. And then they go like, oh, it's not working for me. And then I say, okay, well, let's strip away all the stuff that you just added. Go back to the original protocol, to the bare bones, and just do it just try it one time that way and see if it works for you. And then they're surprised to find, oh, hey, wait, that actually does work.
You know, I always say this to new hypnotists. First thing that you've got to do, here's a bit of advice to new hypnotists. I know we probably haven't got many on here, but if we do have any new hypnotists, watch this.
They may be watching it on the replay.
Here's a bit of advice. Find you. Don't become a bad copy of me and other people. Do our tutorials, listen to what we've got to say, but you've got to find your method. And people say, oh, but Jon, symbolism works so fantastically well for you. It works every time. Yes, because that's what I do every time.
Right.
And I am so good at it because that's what I do every time. People say to me, oh, I need a new show. Why? I've got to do this. And I was there last year. They won't remember what you did last year. You don't need a new show. What you need to do is to do the same show so many times that you're really, really good at it.
Agreed. Yeah? Agreed.
And you need to do the same approach every time so that you're really, really good at it. It's about you becoming the hypnotist, not about your subject. And
your subconscious will know how to take that and make it yours, but you've got to give it some practice first.
You nick the principles because the principles work, but you've got to try.
Start with the basics, right? Happens. Start with the basics, and then you can expand
that's all
from there.
Steph.
Right.
It's all the basics.
It's true. It's actually very easy.
It's all the same meat. It's just different gravy. I love this. Somebody said to me, you haven't come up with anything new since symbolism, and you wrote about that in 2006. Why haven't you come up with anything new? Because there isn't anything new.
There isn't anything new under the sun.
God forgive me for saying this, and I know I'm going to get slammed.
You are the best at symbolism.
Hypnotic birthing, say hypnotic birthing, you know. Some people have changed that to the point where instead of being a simple metaphor, because that's all it is, it's just a simple metaphor that you deliver, yeah, they've added stuff to it like recordings and bottles of scent and all sorts of shit. And it's all totally irrelevant. You just tell them that they don't fit, you know. And it's sort of like, we've only got, it's like stage hypnotists, you know. We run out of ideas on what to do very, very quickly because there's only bloody 5 senses. We can't affect the 6th one. you know?
Well, you can't.
No, we can't affect the sixth one. It either works or it doesn't, and not everybody's highly leveled on that either. Yeah, people are different. Yeah. When you're hypnotized, you can pad in the gaps with imagination, so it can appear that you can do stuff a lot better than you could do it before. Yeah, but you're padding the gaps with imagination, especially with things like, did you see that spirit in the corner? Oh, when I was hypnotized, yes, I saw that spirit in the corner, and they did see something. They did, you know, all the things in their head all connected, and as far as they're concerned, and in their reality, they saw something. But we got no idea whether it was a spirit or a shadow. None whatsoever at all, because although we can manipulate what goes on in here, although we can influence what goes on in here, although we can, what we can't do is get in there and experience it ourselves and prove anything. Now, I'm a great believer. We've just published a book, which is a fabulous book. It just came out just before Christmas. We probably published it at the wrong time, called Switch On Your Psychic, by a fabulous lady called Becky Willoughby. And that's on the hypno-arts thing. So if you want to build your intuition, because we're both very much of the mind, you know, skeptics to psychic things will say, oh, it's only intuition. Yeah, what's that? What is intuition? Well, it's your sixth sense. That's what intuition is. That's, you know, oh, I know that phone's going to ring and I know who it's going to be. Oh, yes, you're just being intuitive. Yeah, well, that's what psychic actually means. If you bother to get up off your fat idle arse, look to dictionary and research the word.
We can definitely develop our intuition for sure.
Yeah, and that's our psychic ability and everything else. But, you know, we still can't go inside somebody's head and have their experience. We can only empathize with it. We cannot, that's impossible. Can't do it, you know. And as much as we like, you know, we are also living in a biological machine that sometimes doesn't work, and that includes the brain. Now, okay, the mind, if we take that as a separate thing, that could have a separate existence, and that could, all minds could be wonderful and fantastic and marvelous, except I doubt that. You know, that there are different levels of energy and different waves of vibration and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, unfortunately, people like your eldest, you know, or your youngest or whatever it was, you know, your child who are challenged because this brain is an organ and not all brains work as well as the other ones. Now, as hypnotists, what we've got to realize is that it's sort of like, can you hypnotize somebody who's deaf? Yes, if they can lip read. Yes, if they can look at you. Yes, if you can work out some form of communication. But if you stand behind them and induce, they won't frigging well go. End of story.
I've hypnotized.
They won't even know you're there.
Of course, if they can read, you can hypnotize.
So you know, I'll tell you what's happened in hypnosis. A lot of it has lost a level of reality and gone somewhere where, you know, it's a bit like spirituality, you know, that it's lost a level of reality and gone into somewhere that's gone into the imagination. Yeah. And to be honest, we don't know what that is either. You know, there's a lot of work being done on what is imagination neurologically, right. But people don't actually know, not for sure. You know, yes, we're joining up all the dots, but that's a bit random because we don't all have the same dots. But so why we're doing the club, why we're doing the Hypnotist Club, is just to give somebody. If you join the Hypnotist Club, you will get a grounding spot. That once a month you will be very much grounded. Yeah. It's if somebody comes along, as somebody did on a discussion group the other day, just after Christmas, there, and say, "Oh, I had somebody who was going to kill me, and he managed to stop himself." Bollocks! You don't know that. That's what they said when they came out of hypnosis, but you've got no idea whether they're telling lies to themselves or not. Neither have they. So bring it down and get it to the reality that, as yet, no hypnotist has ever been in a situation where somebody has knowingly killed them because they've hit a button that set something off in somebody, you know, as far as we know.
Right, as far as we know.
As far as we know.
Yeah, that would be kind of hard to prove.
Yeah, and it's sort of like the hypnotists. I love the hypnotists who say, I can make anybody do anything. You can persuade most people to do most things. And I'm using the word persuade there, not influence, because persuade means giving somebody something to do that you want them to do, whether they want to do it or not. Yeah? Yeah. And we can manipulate the situation so that, you know, I love it when people say people won't do things that go against their deeply held morals, beliefs or principles, you know, and it's a line I use on stage. I don't know if you remember.
To make people feel comfortable.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say that, but then I follow that up. So the sort of people I want on my stage are those with absolutely no morals, beliefs or principles
right.
whatsoever at all. But, you know, that's 90% of the human race anyway. We just, morals, beliefs and principles are very thin veneer.
Right. And, you know, people do, you can influence people outside of hypnosis. I mean, people do what that goes against their beliefs all the time when they're not hypnotized. You know what I mean? Like, just people do stuff that they don't want to do all the time in their conscious waking state. So, in the this kind of gets into in the hypnoidal state. Do you even believe in the hypnoidal state? Because I know that there's a debate on this, whether or not there is this sort of state that we create, or is it just all suggestion and not really this sort of trance?
Do you know the awkward word there is state? State,
that's awkward.
It's a condition.
Okay, well.
And if you take that to a further point, all hypnosis is an induced mood. End of story. It's a mood. Now, you go into 73 moods. You're a woman with kids, so you probably go into 73 moods before you've even gone to the bathroom in the morning.
So you're saying like the trance is a mood?
Yeah.
Like the trance mood. Okay.
Well, no, it's a response mechanism in a particular way. It's a mood. Yeah. I tell you what, the best hypnosis explanation I ever heard was off a guy from New Zealand called Reg Blackwood. He's a fabulous hypnotist. Look Reg Blackwood, New Zealand up, and you'll see him hypnotise people in the street. Very funny. He's coming out with routines that I'm watching and thinking, God, I wish I'd have invented that one. And but Reg, when he was over here training with us, he said something beautiful. He said, hypnosis is when you imagine something so strongly, it becomes your reality.
I love that.
End of story.
End of story.
End of story. That's exactly what hypnosis is. And that's exactly what psychosis is.
True. That's true.
Yeah. That's exactly what psychosis is. So when you think about it, hypnosis is induced psychosis. Yeah. And if you've got a problem with that, get out the hypnosis game, because you are putting people in a position where their morals, that outside social veneer is no longer in existence. Yeah. And if you're a hypnotherapist that does lots of relaxation and you really don't think that anybody could go into that situation, that's when you're going to hit a situation where people start to abreact, where people start to do things that are unexpected. And they're only doing things that are unexpected because you didn't expect them.
Right.
And if you're a hypnotist, you know there are nutters out there. There are people who, for no fault of their own, their psychological makeup, their physical makeup, their whatever, is wired in such a way that They do things that you would find totally abhorrent, and they don't. End of story. Yeah?
Yeah. I like how you said, I can see how that would sound controversial, that hypnosis is induced psychosis, right? And I was thinking, I totally see where you're coming from, and from your lips to my ears.
Hypnosis is a deliberate act of communication that gets the mind to imagine a different reality to the point where it becomes real.
Right. And I absolutely agree with that 100%, for sure.
You know, I mean, I can't think of a better way of explaining it, you know. And what's the process used to get there? Well, that depends how good a hypnotist you are. Simple as that.
And I like that. I know that in this book you sort of distinguish the subconscious as the mind, and then everything else as the body, or just the conscious as the body, the subconscious as the mind.
The brain is not the mind.
Right.
We know now. We know now neurologically. We didn't know this before. It's strange, because before we knew this neurologically, we knew that muscles had memory. Yeah?
Yeah.
Now, a lot of people's twitches and stuff like that, and things that we do, like the smile that you've done there, yeah?
Yeah.
A lot of that is muscle memory kicked off by a chemical change in the way that you're agreeing with me. Yeah, now I know that you're in agreement with me, because not only are you smiling, but you're nodding. You're only nodding imperceptibly, but now you're trying not to nod because you're aware.
I'm nodding even more now because you're telling me.
Because you're
suggesting nodding.
Okay. So if we observe people, we can see that you know, I mean, we say that I love this when people are trying to explain the subconscious mind. They say, oh, your subconscious mind does everything. Like if I throw a ball at you, your subconscious mind works out its trajectory, works out the distance. No, it doesn't. Your arm is now programmed to reach out and catch the bloody thing. Why? Because cells are cognitive. Way more many cells are cognitive than we ever thought possible.
That's true.
In fact, there are clusters of cognitive cells in your heart. We've only known this since we learned to write, since poets first said, I feel this in my heart.
Right. And how much is it the autonomic nervous system, and how much of it is the subconscious?
Yeah, trust your gut. Trust your gut. Why? Because it bloody well thinks it's part of your cognitive system. Yeah? Right? So we know this, but do you know something? Having been a nurse, having been in nursing, and having seen people after some pretty traumatic events be unconscious, that the body still works. Yeah. So
right.
the mind isn't connected. The mind's gone off and done something else to deal with the trauma or whatever. Yeah. Or the brain's not working properly, but the body's still working. Yeah.
Right.
You know, I mean, if you pump air and food into it, the body can work for years and years and years and years and years. Yeah, until the insurance runs out, you know. But
the mind gets dissociated.
In this country, until they need the bed.
Right.
But, you know, so I like to distinguish from what's happening in the brain and the neurology to what's happening in the mind, which doesn't work. It uses that equipment to explain itself to society, the world, to get food, to pee, to do the things it needs to do. It uses that equipment. But if that equipment isn't working absolutely 100%, and nobody's does.
Which then leads to the question, what is the mind then?
Yeah. What is it? what is it? You know, Becky Willoughby asked me the other day, she said, is the mind then the higher self? Well, it certainly likes to think of itself as that most of the time, you know. But and in my book, what I do is I distinguish between the the problem-solving brain and the playing, imagining mind, because they are obviously two separate processes.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we're only just beginning to get the tiniest little bit of understanding of how the brain works. You know, I mean, people are saying,
just scratching the surface.
Well, there's neural plasticity, you know. We've just discovered neural plasticity. Well, no, actually, in actual fact, neural plasticity was discovered in 1962. And we still haven't really improved on what we know about it because, you know, that was discovered by, you know, people go, oh, neurology this and neurology that and the brain this and the brain that, and they know this and they know that. Yes. The only problem is, you know, the only live brains, human brains that we actually study are those that have been impacted in some way or don't work properly. Or we tend to do a lot of our guesswork that we do neurologically on brains, on mice and chimpanzees and things like that, you know, which actually aren't on human beings, surprisingly enough. You know, we've got bits of us that seem to work in a different way that we don't know what that is and how that works, even though we share a very similar biology. You know, I don't believe you can make anyone do anything in hypnotism, and honestly, I don't know why you'd want to. Okay.
Jon, I'm going to let you field this question. I'll be right back. Go ahead.
I've got to answer this. I don't believe you can make anyone do anything in hypnotism. Okay. You can use hypnotism to manipulate the situation in somebody's imagination so that they are doing something that for the situation they believe themselves to be in is perfectly rational and reasonable in that situation. And if you can get somebody to no longer desire cigarettes in hypnotism, you can get somebody to kill their next door neighbor. You just could. Yeah. If you can get somebody to imagine you as their partner, then they would react to you in exactly the same way as they would to their partner. Why would you want to do this? No idea. Absolutely no idea. But certainly stage hypnotism goes a lot further into this field than any research has ever done. But why would you want to do this? You'd want to do this, I suppose, just to demonstrate that you could, or to take somebody out of a situation. You know, something. Have a look for Emile Coué. Now, everybody recognises what he said because he wrote it down in a book that I believe is called Mastering the Mind Through Autosuggestion. If you put that into Google, you'll find the original book. It's only something silly like about 30 odd pages, but it's well worth looking up. Emile Coué. If I remember, if Stephanie reminds me, every way. I say stuff, it comes out of my mouth, and I forget what I've said 5 minutes later. That's because I'm not listening. But Emile Coué actually did work with people with criminal minds and got them to change their own minds by giving themselves a simple suggestion, which was more or less, I'm paraphrasing here, every day, in every way, I'm getting better and better. Yeah? And that phrase has stayed with us. He wrote that in 1921. So
hear it all the time.
Yeah, you know, you can get people to override a lifetime of learning. You can do that. So, you know, when you say you can't make anyone do, make is the inappropriate word here. You can influence and persuade. Yeah. You can manipulate. Yeah. Don't think make.
You can change the context of their belief.
Absolutely. I love what Jeff Stevens said, you know, because I mentored Jeff in his early days, and I love what Jeff Stevens said. He said, we don't get people to do anything that goes against their will. we change their will.
Their will.
You know, and I've been incredibly lucky to have taught and worked with people that you know.
So how do you feel about the all hypnosis is self-hypnosis saying?
Bollocks, complete rubbish. Not even close. Completely different conditions. Absolutely. Similar conditions, you know. But if I give you if I give you a knockout drug, and I was trying to remember the name of it there, somebody, you know, but and you fall down on the floor, yeah, drugged, you would look exactly the same as you would if I'd hit you across the back of the head with a baseball bat, apart from the blood and the bits of skull everywhere, you know. But you'd look pretty much the same from the front, yeah? And you'd look the same when you were hypnotized. Yeah. And the result of you waking up with a headache, not knowing what had happened for the last few minutes, hours, whatever, would be exactly the same. Yeah? Yeah. And then it's just the easy jump. And this thing here will always do the easy thing. It's lazy. Yeah. It's designed to do everything as easily as possible or nothing at all. Right. Yeah? Yeah. Right? And this is what we are using. This is what our mind's using. And you have to overcome its laziness to get anywhere. But it's lazy. So it will make the lazy comparison that looks the same as that. So if it waddles and goes quack, it's a duck. Right. Because it works in patterns. I'm not a duck. It just works with similar patterns, puts them all together and says, right, okay. So if I stare at a spot on the wall or at a candle flame, and I give myself suggestions, or I record something, and that's exactly the same as being hypnotized by somebody else, bollocks. And I don't know how many Americans understand that term, but it's basically gonads. Yeah? Testicles. It's rubbish. It's total complete. I am a total disbeliever in self-hypnosis. To use the term in the way it was coined by James Braid, and if you actually read James Braid's book, you see that he was really aware of suggestion and how suggestion was being used. And he didn't have to use deep. He did 250 operations using hypnosis as the only anesthesia. Yeah? And people go, oh, yeah, well, I've heard of that and I've seen that. And he was using mesmerism. Whoa. What most people don't know is that James Braid was an ophthalmic surgeon. He operated on people's eyes and gave them suggestions they couldn't see the blade coming towards it. Think of that. Think what he did. Yeah, he overrode the ophthalmic nerve. He couldn't turn it off, but he overrode it. Yeah? Yeah. He overrode it simply by using suggestion. Yeah. And people who don't like direct suggestion hypnosis, you must remember that that's exactly what you are doing. You're just using a convoluted, you know. Oh yes, but Erickson didn't use direct suggestion. He used embedded suggestion. Well, as a hypnotist, I've seen lots of video of Dr. Erickson hypnotize him, and he uses direct suggestion every single time, all the time. Yeah. Yes, he wraps direct suggestion. He wraps that up in his southern gentlemanly drawl and his and you know, but people were going into trance before they'd even seen him through reputation. That's the way stage hypnotism works, you know. I mean, and that's the way a lot of hypnotherapy works, because of course, you know, you make an appointment to see somebody. You don't answer the phone and say, right, okay, come on Skype, I'll do it now. You know, the priming and the conditioning is something that I really learned through doing a stage hypnosis show. I started off doing clinical hypnotherapy, and just for fun, I just started doing some little stage hypnosis shows just around town, not anything big. Once I started doing that, then I really understood the power of
The power of like really setting up expectation. Thank you. The power of expectation and setting the belief up in the person's belief system that they will be hypnotized. Because it seemed like the first person was a little harder to hypnotize, but then once I got him under, then everyone else just kind of, it was just like a thing of dominoes falling over, right? I got the first one. These people watched, and then they just all went like, shh, right? And that was like, okay, great. Now that I know about this sort of phenomenon, now how can I use that in my clinical work, right? So then I did a lot more setting expectation. I added more to my pre-talk.
Social compliance, you know, a lot of people in the old days, they used to say, oh, stage hypnosis is just social compliance. It's just sheep following sheep. You know, the first one sees that one do it and they think, oh, well, that's what I've got to do. And they do that. But that's all we ever do in life anyway. We are biological machines. And we really can't override those sort of things. You know, we can change our response to it, and we can change the way we feel about it. But at the end of the day, when you get hungry, you're going to eat. You know? And
you can tell who is hypnotized and who is just doing social compliance. I mean, there is a definite, or I don't know if it's just my intuition or what, but I can tell, oh yeah, this guy is actually in somnambulism and this guy is playing along, but we let him play along. Well, right. The audience doesn't know, but
the audience always knows. The audience always knows. You know, people who have never, ever, ever seen hypnosis before can watch a show and they will know the people. See, the thing is, I'm an entertainer that came into hypnosis through show business. Yeah? I only learnt the clinical stuff, and I only developed the clinical stuff for two reasons. One, I was being asked to do it, and I don't like leaving money on the table. And two, when I started to teach, I only taught stage hypnosis. I didn't teach anything else. But then those people were coming back and saying, John, I did a show, and 5 people came up and asked me to stop. How do I stop people smoking? So
that's how I got into teaching. I had so many people ask me.
I'll do that as well. You know, people sort of go, oh, you know, oh, you're not a professional therapist. No, I'm not a therapist. I've never been a therapist. And I'm only a hypnotist by designation. I'm actually quite good at hypnosis. In here, what I am is I'm pretty much an entrepreneur, I suppose. You know, I've started a couple of businesses, but mostly I'm a bloke who can do hypnosis, who's a persuader and a manipulator, because I've been a persuader and a manipulator all my life, because having a physical disability meant that my teenage, it was either have the biggest bloke in the class next to me, so as I could say, Jimmy, hit him. Otherwise, I got the full whack, you know. And I explained it to Jane, and I love teaching. I love being in that situation. I prefer to do a group of 12 people to do one-on-ones, yeah, because of that social compliance thing. You know, the people will go along with each other, and using a mass psychology is very, very useful. You know, not for the serious stuff. And by serious stuff, I mean not for the embarrassing stuff that people would be scared to talk about. Yeah, because you can do anything in a group situation. You can handle any problem in this group situation. As I say in my tutorial, which will be available through the hypnotists.com group. Just keep typing in the hypnotists until it goes live. It will be in a few days.
Yeah. And you can type that into the comments as well.
It's not quite like
it. I just want to interrupt you for 1 second.
See, now what I'm doing now, actually, Steph, what I'm doing now is, this is completely impromptu. You messaged me yesterday and said, do you want to do this? I can do Wednesday or Friday. And I thought, fuck doing Friday. I'll do tomorrow. You know? And people don't realise that there's nothing set up here or anything. And Jane and I were only talking about this a couple of days ago.
It's the universe coming together.
Yeah, we've started to put it into practice, because I'll put a feeler letter that, you know, would you be interested? And enough people have come back and said, yeah, we'd be interested, to make it worthwhile doing, you know, because
I'll type that into the comments. The hypnotist with an S at the end.
Yeah, .com. That only goes to HypnoArts at the moment, but as soon as it goes live, that'll go to the club. And it's a club for $25. £25 a month, you know. But yeah.
Hypnotist.
But of course we're British, so we're charging real money, you know. Bitcoin. It's 25 Bitcoins a month. No. But God, I would like to get Bitcoin and ram it up the backside of nearly everybody. But no, getting back to the thing that
okay, just making sure.
Where was I?
Right. There you go. Wait, and I want to thank everybody who has stayed with us this whole time. I think we have 6 people still on.
Yeah, they have no lives.
Obviously, we don't, because we've been at this for about an hour and 40 minutes. I figured I'll just keep it up for 20 more minutes, and we'll end this at the top of the hour.
Steph, you said, come online and let's talk about you. I can't resist that one. That's.
I think people were expecting us to get into some kind of a row or something, but that's not. They don't know that we actually are friends and we actually love each other very much. So
it's not so much that, you know, a lot of people. Jello, John. Yeah, I suppose that's a good description. Somebody said to Winston Churchill once, you know, sir, you are fat. And he looked at the woman and he said, yes, madam, but you are ugly. And I can always go on a diet. No, sorry. Wrong. Let's get this right. What she said to him was, it was a lady, and she said to him, sir, you are drunk. He said, yes, madam, but you are ugly, and I will wake up in the morning sober. Right.
I'm going to laugh as if I've remembered that before.
I developed my voice when aged only 7 as a defense mechanism. Good for you, Keith. Right, now.
Anthony, welcome. Thank you for joining us.
You know, Keith is one of those people who is very centered around understanding that thinking helps healing situations. Yeah. But the trouble with that is we have no idea whether the healing would have happened anyway. You know, I've seen people. I worked for 5 years on a spinal injuries unit. I have seen people in really traumatic situations. You know, I mean, I go, when people say, "Oh, I had a broken leg once," I understand things. You know, I've seen families break up. I've seen youngsters of like 18, 19 coming with broken necks from playing rugby, and you know, never going to walk again, no matter what, you know, no matter what the state of this. But I've seen people overcome all sorts of trauma and tragedy, even though they are still miserable bastards, even though they have totally given up. And they would come back in year after year after year with pressure sores and all sorts of and renal problems because they hadn't been drinking enough water and stuff like that. But do you know, this thing here, this thing we live in is designed to survive. End of story. And for those people who said to me that you can't manipulate the mind to do anything, have a look at our mind can do one thing that no other animal does, and we are an animal. Whether we like to think that or not, we are an animal. And our mind can kill our body.
Yeah,
no other creature does that.
Yeah.
No other creature does that.
Deep. That's deep, John.
So And everybody has the capability.
Thanks for joining us.
Hello, James Daly.
Hey, James.
Dion Wright said, that's true. I know it is. I just said it.
Of course it's true.
Are you paying attention, Dion? Thank you, Dion. Thank you. I'll tell you what gets me. I have seen so many people come into the world of hypnosis either with no sense of humor, or they immediately lose it because everything's serious. You know, oh, that's serious. Oh, that's depression. Oh, that's serious. We've got to take care of that. That's serious. I tell you, the one capacity for surviving being in a wheelchair, having children who are need more of our time and more care, being in situations where we have to think in different ways. And the one capacity as well that human beings have that no other creature seems to have is that we can laugh at that. And by laughing at that, we can build dopamine, serotonin, endorphins, and we can survive even the worst of tragedies that way. I mean, it's sort of like we British, we deal with adversity by turning it into a joke, I mean, 9/11, terrible tragedy for the people who were involved in that. But the first thing I got on my email after that was somebody left the landing lights on. And that was terrible and horrible and awful and that. But so part of you wants to laugh at that.
And it helps to have that relief too, because we can't just walk around so serious all the time. And if we don't have that relief, then that builds up anger inside of us and resentment and all of this energy, this heavy energy that ultimately leads us to being sick, that ultimately breaks down this mechanism of our body, right?
It's a stopper for communication as well, because like Jane's got a bit of trouble with some earwax, and over Christmas it got sore and got impacted, and she went to the doctors today, and the doctors obviously had some sort of training, because Jane was saying, yeah, it got really sore and that over Christmas, and she said she nearly burst out laughing when the doctor put on a really worried expression, started to nod, leaned her head forward and went, that must have been awful. Oh, that's terrible. Because it completely stopped Jane's level of conversation with the woman, because she knew that this was put on, and But I tell my approach is to get a client pissing themselves laughing as fast as possible, because I want them to learn something and to react very, very quickly. Now, this is the thing that stage hypnotists use as well, that hypnotherapists and a lot of stage hypnosis trainers miss. The magic of the opening isn't just to get the right people up there, it's to make them laugh. Because when they are laughing, they are more open to suggestion, right? You say they feel relaxed. Why do you think people feel relaxed when they're laughing? I love this. Why do you think people are relaxed when they are actually screaming? That's what a laugh is.
Yeah.
It's a scream, but it's a scream that brings dopamine and endorphins into play. It makes the conscious mind easier to, and for some reason it opens up the part of our mental processing that we call imagination, that we call mind. And as a hypnotist, that's all I'm interested in. I'm only interested in your mind. I don't give a damn what your conscious mind is, what your conscious brain is thinking or doing. That's why you can get somebody who's a good somnambulist, and you can get them to put their hand on there, and you say, right, it's stuck, you can't take it off. And they will be going like this, and you say, are you hypnotized? I'll go, no. Are you in trance? No. Are your eyes closed? No. Can you move your hand? No. And if you want to see a demonstration of that, follow the link, thehypnotists.com. Well, follow that link anyway. We'll put it through to the thing until the offer goes live. But you will actually see me, and I know you saw me do a demonstration, at Hypnothoughts, where there was a woman sitting there with her arm, and she could not bend that arm, and she had not been induced into a trance in any way whatsoever at all, just direct, open-eyed suggestion. You can work at that level.
Waking hypnosis.
I don't. I bang people under and take them into a deep trance at some point during when I'm working with them, when I'm coaching, mind coaching people. I will do that at some point so that they then say to other people, oh yeah, I was hypnotized. Because otherwise they don't know they've been hypnotized, because the world has come to think of hypnosis as trance instead of the utilization of direct suggestion, which creates a situation. I've got a video on YouTube about this, which creates a situation when the subconscious process is dominant, which normally it isn't, because it's too damn lazy. Normally, your subconscious mind is a bright 9-year-old child, and it's sitting in the back of your head going, are we there yet? Are we there? Is that a rabbit? Is that a rabbit? Ice cream. I want an ice cream. I think I need
like that metaphor.
Are we there yet? It's a bright 9-year-old child. Everybody's emotions 9 years old. People say, oh no, he's very mature, you know, he's got emotional intelligence. What a load of rubbish that is. What a load of cognitive rubbish that is. Because I tell you what, if you get angry, if you get sad, you will do what a bright 9-year-old does, not what an adult human being would do. Yeah? And laughter and that sort of thing.
That's
Come on,
true.
people. You know, you're dealing with people. I worry about some people that are coming into hypnotherapy through some routes that they're coming into hypnotherapy, because they're not being taught basic psychological understanding that, you know, that we're dealing with the psychology here. You know, I worry about a lot of the stage hypnosis, stage hypnotists. I don't know whether they didn't listen. I mean, there's some great teachers out there like Mark Savard, but I don't know if they don't listen or if they're not being taught that there's a psychology to the people that are on stage, you know.
You just broke up. You're breaking up just a little bit.
Yeah, I think we're probably getting a bit tired now.
Okay.
The broadband's got tired. It does, you know. It's this huge, great big octopus that goes out all over the world.
We're wearing out the computer.
You know, we are talking to each other via a huge, great big copper cable lying on the bottom of an ocean 4,000 miles wide. We should be going, fucking hell!
Yeah.
Think about it. And we just accepted it. Because our subconscious mind could imagine it, we just accepted it.
Right.
Didn't we?
Right. We did.
It just happened. We couldn't do this last year.
That's true. Yeah.
We couldn't do this last year.
2 years ago. Yeah. We only have about 9 minutes left, and I'm just going to go down the comments real quick and just see if anybody had any other one last question or comment that we haven't touched on yet. And this will be our last one, and then we'll end it, because I'm really having a great time.
I just had a rant on them.
I'm receiving lots of value from everything you're saying. So I'm just I'm happy for you to do all the talking. It's usually me doing the talking, so I'll have you do
all of it. I promise you. Have a look at the early video.
It's very, yeah, I'm enjoying our discussion immensely. Again, just our chat. It's not, this is not an interview, it's just a chat. And I think we've been having a good time.
Interesting question. What are the advantages of deep trance?
Oh, here we go.
Look, there is no such thing as deep trance. That is a way of understanding when we get somebody really relaxed to the point where they think they are not being conscious anymore. Yeah. Let's get some clarity on that, because and then let's use the phrase with that clarity. The advantage over deep state over conversation is, as a practitioner, as a hypnotist, if you're happier to work in deep trance, then that's the place you should bloody well work. If, like me, you're happy to work without it, you should work there. It's got nothing to do with the state. It's got nothing to do with the person that you're working with. It's all to do about you. Honest to God. Do you know, I know that I could have 100 people in a room, and there's going to be at least 20 people in that room that I can't hypnotize. Now, I know that I am constantly as good a hypnotist today as I was yesterday, probably a bit better if I've had some practice. Yeah, because you do get rusty if you don't practice a lot. But I also know that there are going to be, say, 20 people in that room who I've only got to look at and say, you're cured, and that will happen. Yeah. Now, if I'm comfortable, if I'm confident, if I'm exuding whatever it is their expectation has come up to accept as being there, then whatever I do bloody well works. I could swing a bone with a feather on it at them and say, bang, cured, pop, hello. And they go away going, wow, he boned me. That phrase might be unfortunate. Yeah, I'm thinking, yes, that means something else in America, doesn't it? But
that'd be completely different than whatever it means to you.
Yeah, I know, but you don't want to know what funny is over here either.
Now people are going to go around saying Jon Chase boned me, and yes. You're going to get quite the reputation.
Yeah, but what people don't understand is what works is the connection, not what you're doing with it. Yeah. And the condition of, I'm going to accept the suggestions of this person as being true. Yeah, that's it. That's where it all works. And then you say, imagine this. And if they imagine it to the point where it becomes their reality, it becomes their reality, and their behaviors change and everything. I hate hypnosis. I hate hypnosis when, we're doing cancer hypnosis. No, you're fucking not. You're doing hypnosis.
Right. You're doing hypnosis.
You're just doing hypnosis.
Right.
Yeah. You're doing hypnosis on the mind. If the mind's in a great state, the human body can heal itself but the human body might heal itself anyway, even if that person is a right miserable git. Right. Even if that person has got nothing left to live for.
I have clients all the time ask me what my specialty is. What do I specialize in? Smoking cessation hypnosis, weight loss hypnosis, pain relief, anxiety. And I do all of that, obviously. And I just say, well, I specialize in the subconscious is what I specialize in. But so whatever ailment you have, whatever situation you have, I can work with it. Now, from a marketing standpoint, I have to be more specific in my marketing. For different reasons.
I'm not calling myself a hypnotist because, there's lots of people who are scared by it.
Yeah.
And they damn well should be if it's been done inappropriately or by a skilled hypnotist. Or by somebody who shouldn't be doing it.
Right.
You know? And there's a lot of those out there. I'm sorry, I know that gets a lot of flack, but there's a lot of those out there because you can buy all sorts of courses. I mean, we don't certify on our tutorials anymore. We give out a CPD certificate in case somebody's a professional and they need CPD, but we don't certify it anymore because I've got no idea on how responsible that person is that I'm teaching. I taught one guy who ended up going to prison for inappropriately
you can teach ethics, but
what he knew in a clinical situation.
Yeah, I mean, you can teach ethics, but that doesn't mean they'll adhere to it.
Right? No. I mean, you think, well, how didn't you know? Because he was a perfectly nice guy.
Yeah.
Absolutely, and dream of a guy, lovely guy. I've got no idea, And anybody who turns around to me and says, how do you know the people who are psychotic when they come up on stage? You don't.
Yeah, true.
You have no frigging idea.
You have no clue. No clue.
No. Obviously, as a nurse, I am probably more aware than when even though that was back actually at about the time you were being born, Steph. the early 70s, yeah.
1975.
Yes, well, I was a nurse. I was getting into nursing then. And, you know, I mean, I can look at people and probably think, well, I wonder what she's on, or I wonder what he's taking too much of, or I wonder how many drinks she's had, you know. But even then, I mean, on stage, you still make a mistake. I remember once in Leicester where I found out that it takes about 20 minutes to get all the vomit out of the end of your shoe. You know, when you take a chance with somebody who looked like he'd had a bit too much to drink, and you thought, oh, well, you know, he'll be okay. And it does slow the show down when you've got them up the stage, you know. But although I must say it was a football club in Leicester, and everybody in the audience loved it. They thought it was the funniest thing they'd seen all year. You know, the hypnotist having projectile vomiting go down his front. But
on that note,
but we don't know. We don't know, and we've got to realise, you know, that we are dealing with people. So people have to be trained to be good hypnotists.
Absolutely.
Because when you've got somebody in a proper hypnotised situation, it really doesn't matter what their emotional state is. You can override that.
I 100% agree, and I know that is a controversial topic, but I agree with you. And Jon Chase, thank you so much for being my guest, and thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day to chat with me.
You're very welcome. I enjoy talking about the thing, and thehypnotists.com will be the Hypnotist Club, and yeah, and we'll learn off each other. We will, you know, it's me sort of like monthly mentoring.
Yeah.
You know, that's why there's a charge, because if there's a charge, I'm going to be there.
Right. And that just kind of weeds out the people who would be trolls, or who would just take up too much of your time otherwise with silly nonsense. I mean, so you need to get the paid people. You need to get the people who are investing in themselves.
I've stopped going to a lot of groups and that on Facebook and that, simply because, you know, because people don't have to invest in it in any way at all, you know. And we're human beings. We're human beings. If I say to you, oh, you've got to invest in this, you won't think, oh, right, well, how much time is it going to take then? You're going to turn around and say to me, how much will it cost?
How much will it cost? Because
that's our common, you know, what Bob Proctor calls a token of appreciation. That's our common exchange system. So if we say, right, you've got to invest in this, I love it when people say, oh, come and get my book, it's free. Nobody's going to get past page 2, mate, because it's free.
Yeah.
And I'll have a quick glance at it. But I tell you what, if, like I say to the people, now at HypnoArts, I'll use this one. At HypnoArts, we are now publishing people's specialities. Not hypnosis. Most of them are hypnotists, but we're not doing that. And this one, for instance, Get Your Child Eating. I know it's back to front. Elaine Hudgens. It's a great little book. If you come across people, Elaine's got international clients from America, and if you come across people with SED, you know, selective eating disorder and that, Steph's just had to dash off. We're now publishing people's books on that thing, HypnoArts. Just type in hashtag HypnoArts. It will take you to one of our sites where you can find out about that. We're publishing that because I think there's too few specialists in areas that actually understand how the mind works and how that works in things. So, and the Hypnosis Club is going to be, for me, it's going to be a monthly thing because I have this. And I announced it this morning, something that we've been working on for about 6 months now, and we've got it to the point where it goes live in a couple of weeks, and that is there's going to be a podcast. Cool. Now, I podcasted with the Hypnotist radio show about 6 years ago. I was very inept at it. I hadn't had any training. I didn't understand about formats, about how to interview or anything like that. And what I've been doing I've been very quiet over the last 12 months because I've actually been getting a lot of training in video presentation of people like James Lavers. And, you know, I've done all that, and I've invested. Now, I'm going to give that back to the community, but the community's got to give something back to me because I've invested, and I can't keep investing unless there's an exchange somewhere, you know?
Absolutely. Okay, I'm so sorry. I have to run now because my kids are like, fine. Where's mommy? They're banging on my door now.
They've got it at the cupboard, haven't they?
Okay. But thank you so much. Have a beautiful, happy New Year, and I will be seeing you around soon.
Bye.
Bye. And thank you guys thank you guys out there.
Yes, thank you so much for sticking around.
Thank you for sticking with us for so long.
Yes.
All right, love you guys.
See you soon.
I give you one big. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. If you enjoyed this, put a number 1 or a heart or a smiley face or something in the comments. Oh yeah, and I'll keep doing these. All right. Bye. Bye, Jon.
Bye.